Hello. Thanks for joining us today as we go through part two of our How Money Works Elements course. My name is Daniel Miller. I was the educator for our first workshop, and I will continue in that role today. If you were able to join us for our last one, you have a great start and foundation that we will build upon today. If you were unable to make that, I would encourage you to go back and watch that video first, because everything that we talk about today is going to expand on our previous workshop. So before we get in case you are new with us, we're going to start with a video talking about our book, How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker, that really all of these concepts and all of this education is coming from.
More than 5 billion people around the world continue to struggle with money and financial illiteracy.
It's Madison Avenue manipulation, right? It's been going on for years and we buy into it.
How bad is financial illiteracy?
It's not taught in schools, so people don't know this naturally.
Oh, you're right.
So you grow up not knowing anything about it. You make a lot of mistakes along the way, and we're hoping to educate them and teach them how money really works so they can learn the cause and effect of all this.
And it doesn't have to be generational.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly right.
Break that cycle.
Once you understand the basics of financial literacy, it changes your life. The secret is financial literacy. I mean, teaching your kids how money works.
I think it's really understanding how money works.
Once they understand the basics of how money works, they shouldn't have to struggle for very long.
Steve Siebold and Tom Matthews are the authors of How Money Works. Stop being a sucker.
Money means possibility. It means opportunity. It means freedom. Things you've always wanted to do, dreams that you have. Money makes it possible.
You know, of all the interviews we've had in the last 6 weeks, I'm actually most encouraged by that one.
It is great to have you with us here today. As I said, my name is Daniel Miller, and I'll be your financial educator for the next half hour. I'd like to welcome you to the How Money Works Elements educational series. This is a 5-part series, and tonight we will be taking on part 2. And it's all based on the groundbreaking book, How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker, now with over 500,000 copies in print. So How Money Works is the first financial education book that anyone at any age can enjoy and benefit from, age 10 all the way to age 100. And speaking of the number 100, the book has now been featured on over 100 prominent TV shows, including CNBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox. It has received the rare endorsement from the Heartland Institute of Financial Education, and it has been referenced all over the web. You can also follow How Money Works on Instagram for practical tips and helpful resources. If you haven't received a copy of your book yet, let us know when we finish, and we will make sure that we get you one. So our class tonight is the second of the 5 elements courses titled Concepts. And again, once you complete all 5 elements, you will earn a certificate of completion that is signed by the authors and also myself. And also any student who attends at least one of the elements classes can take advantage of a free 30-minute consultation with one of our How Money Works experts. They are specifically trained to help you chart a course to financial independence using our 7 money milestones methodology. The concepts we'll discuss today are core guiding principles that have enabled millions to create financial stability and wealth. They prove that by knowing the basic building blocks of how money works, you can empower yourself for a better life and future. One of the key takeaways I want you to focus on with these concepts is that waiting is the enemy of wealth. When it comes to growing your money, every single day counts. So with that, and not to waste any more time, let's dive in. So over the 5 parts of this element course, we'll take you through what we call the 7 money milestones. And this is your step-by-step action plan designed to help you chart the course from where you are today to financial security and independence as you define it. The good news is that no one is too far ahead or too far behind to benefit from these milestones. The first milestone is one you're already on your way to completing. You've begun milestone 1, which is financial education, with the first element. You're becoming more financially ready with each page that you read in the book. And also remember that your financial professional is the best person to turn to for any questions on details. We can discuss this later with you if you don't already have one and you need help choosing one. But here's another way to say it. In the war for your money, there are 2 essential tools that you are going to need to win. We know that the best starting point for everyone is to combine financial education with a financial professional. If you take this education seriously, because you didn't get it from school, your parents are likely your friends. You need to treat your finances with the same level of dedication that you put into your health. Google things, ask questions, but then turn to someone that you trust that does this for a living. During today's class, we'll cover these 3 concepts, and each one is essential to the startup required to begin making financial decisions with confidence and start taking action to get yourself on track with your money. First is the time value of money. Now, we've all been guilty of squandering time, but it is especially costly when you lose the value of your money over that time. You never get time back or the money lost. Time is one of your most precious commodities. How long do you have until you pay off your car or home, or to send your kids to college, or to retire, or possibly to run out of money before you die? You need to know these numbers. Why? Because it forces us to value the time that we have. There are 3 ways to leverage the time value of money. If you start now, you can save regularly and be patient. Those are the 3 principles: starting now, saving regularly, and being patient. Starting earlier is always a good idea. It can make a significant difference. In this case, savings from ages 22 to 30 is better than from saving from ages 30 to 67. $111,000 better after putting away almost 5 times less money, as you can see in this example with Sarah and George. Sarah starting younger and George starting later. Sarah put in a lot less money and ended up with more, whereas George started later and had to put in much, much more, and he ended up with less. This is a common sense principle to understand that is frequently ignored. The longer you wait, the more you have to save to hit your goal. So with that in mind, let's stop waiting. Here's a picture of the numbers that break it down by age. For each $1 million that you want at retirement, you can see the monthly amount you need to save in order to hit it based on your age. At age 30, you need to save $282 a month to have $1 million at retirement. But if you wait until age 40, you need to save $731 per month. At some point, you will outpace your ability to hit the monthly savings amount required, and you simply won't be able to afford it. At that point, you'll either have 2 choices: either shrink your dreams within what you are going to accumulate, or find a way to earn and then save more money. So now may be a good time to start applying these principles for yourself and see what that looks like. Write down your age and how much you need to save from our previous slide. After you have that number, ask yourself the question, what happens if you wait another 5 years? How fast has these last 5 years flown by? Everyone needs to know this information now because time is ticking away. And the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you to hit the very same goal that you were trying to hit in the first place. So sucker-minded people, right? Our book is titled Stop Being a Sucker. They think that it's a good time. It's never think that it's a good time to take care of this. There's always something. There's always another expense. There's always a way to procrastinate it justifiably in their mind. That's how they think. Whereas the wealthy minded always get started as soon as they can, which is now, if not sooner. The wealthy realize, hey, I have to do this. I got to figure out a way, and they do. And that's the key difference in their thinking. So that's our first concept. Now, let's look at an example of something that most parents dream about, because a lot of people don't apply this for themselves, but they may want to apply it for their children or their grandchildren or their nieces, nephews, whatever. They might want to apply this principle of time for someone else. So if you have children, you always want them to have it better than you, and that's natural. So this example is a reimagining of how parents can leave a legacy for their kids. It's a strategy that applies the power of compound interest and the time value of money in a way that makes the traditional end-of-life wealth transfer seem old-fashioned and unnecessary. We call it $1 Million Baby. Only 20% of children will receive an inheritance. It's probably even lower now that so many people have faced the challenges of 2020. If you want to give your children $1 million at their retirement, which is more likely? You either give them each $1 million in cash when they're adults and you've saved enough, or you develop a plan to save a fraction of that amount for each child when they're young. Most would say the latter is more realistic. We know it's hard and how hard it is for retirement age parents to preserve an inheritance for adult children. With seniors living longer, almost all of their savings may be required to cover decades of expenses, including medical bills and long-term care. This new reality of longevity can remove the possibility of leaving an inheritance the old way. So, since it's so hard to leave an inheritance today, why not use the greatest financial asset your child has, which is time? They have an entire life of it. What could the power of compounding do for your child over 67 years? It's a great question. Let's take a look. So $1 Million Baby leverages 3 simple money concepts: the power of compound interest, the time value of money, and wealth protection. And this is one of my favorite quotes. Nelson Henderson said, "The true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit." And this is a visual representation of just that, planting a tree for someone you love that you never expect to sit under. So, could you use the money principles you've learned today to save $1 million for your child or grandchild? It's actually easier than you think. The following examples are simply to illustrate how this can work. In this example, Dana puts $13,000 aside one time and leaves it there from her daughter's birth until her daughter turns age 67. It grows at 6.5% interest to a little over $1 million. So $13,000 away, right when they're born, 67 years later, is $1 million in this example. Really powerful. But if Dana waits until her daughter graduates from high school, 18 years, her daughter only receives about $300,000 when she turns 67. what a difference those initial 18 years can make. Almost 2 decades worth of compounding takes it from 300,000 to $1 million in the same amount of money and the same interest rate, just an extra 18 years. Here in his example, he doesn't have $13,000 sitting around, but he still wants his son to retire with $1 million. He and his relatives can work together and to save just $2,500 now, and then just $250 each month for the next 4 years. Then, like magic, they'll hit the goal too. His son also retires with $1 million waiting for him. If Hector waits until his son turns 18 years old, it's the same story as Dana had. As if Dana had waited. He's going to get a lot less than $1 million. And in this case, it's a little over 300,000 simply by waiting those 18 years. So we are developing a calculator that will allow you to play with the numbers to see what it might look like. But in the meantime, your financial professional could help you decide. 250 children are born every minute in this country. And they could live a different life if their parents or grandparents did this for them when they were young. Now you see why we call this strategy $1 Million Baby. How appreciative would your kids be one day, perhaps when you're gone, that their parents thought about their future, knew how money works, and acted in love to take care of them? That's a thank you that could change your legacy forever. So once again, sucker-minded people, they leave this all to chance. They think, well, I hope I have some money left over that will pass on to my children. We'll see what happens. Whereas the wealthy-minded, they realize that a dream, that this dream could come true and what it would do for their family, and they decide to take the action and follow through. So hopefully you're having fun so far. This is the last concept that we're going to go over as we're closing out today's class. But it's actually my favorite part, and it's time to learn the rule of 72. Have any of you ever heard this before? Most of the time when I'm doing these, I find that no one has, but every now and then we get someone that has. But in short, it's a little known mental math shortcut that the wealthy have used for years, and we feel that everybody should know it. So how you calculate it is you simply divide any interest rate into the number 72, and it will tell you how long it takes for your money to double. So if you take 72 and divide it by any interest rate, 1%, 100%, doesn't matter, any interest rate, and you press equals, that number is going to be the number of years it takes for your money to double if you earn that interest rate every single year. Now, this is important to understand because this works for you if you are saving and investing money, it can help you grow. But it also works against you if you have any type of debt and if you borrow money. So it can work both ways. So here we see at earning 1% interest, it will take 72 years for $1 to turn into $2. We all know that's a long time. Would anyone knowingly choose that on purpose if they could earn something better elsewhere? Keep that question in mind because we'll be coming back to it in just a moment. So as you can see here, the better the rate of return you get, the faster your money can double. At 3%, your money doubles every 24 years. At 6%, every 12 years, 9% every 8 years. And if you earn 12% a year, your money doubles every 6 years, which we would say that's much, much more like it. Here's another way to look at it in terms of the number of doubles you could have over your lifetime. At 1%, you'll be lucky if you live long enough to get one double. At 6%, you could have 4 doubles. And at 12%, you could have as many as 8 doubles. Each double is twice the money. So every double really, really counts. So remember the question about the 1%. Would anyone willingly choose to earn 1% if they knew this rule? Well, the reason we ask that is because people don't know how money works, and there is almost $10 trillion sitting in savings accounts that don't even average 1%. They average 0.09%, which is a fraction of 1%. So when CNBC did a review of our book a few months ago, this is one of the things that they pointed out that was almost unbelievable. Many of the actual institutional savings account rates are even lower. Do you see your bank here on this list? Most people, when they do, they realize, oh my gosh. So if you do the math on how long, try it for yourself, take 72 and divide it by 0.09. And you're not going to be very happy to see how long it takes for your money to double. If you do, you're looking at 800 years for your account to double by the year 2821. So as George says here, his great grandchildren will love it. And just so we're clear, the same place that will pay you 0.09% on a checking or savings account, they can charge you 17% on average or more for that same money on a credit card, which this means that the money for them doubles every 4 years, and your money that you leave with them doubles every 800 years. Now, hopefully you can see why the subtitle of the book is Stop Being a Sucker, because you and everyone you know needs to know how money works today, not tomorrow. It needs to be today. So of course, the bank will give you a lollipop for your trouble of waiting in line and make a deposit, right? They'll give you a sucker, but what brand is it normally? Isn't it normally a specific brand? What we've found is that normally it's a dumb sucker. And we can't make it up. It's like they're trying to tell you, but you just don't know the code. That's the reality of the banking world. And this rule helps people understand that. So you can also figure out, you can also use this to figure out what return you'll need for a savings goal or what a loan will cost you. So there's a lot of different ways you can use this principle, but it's very powerful, and I guarantee you will never look at interest rates the same again. Take that interest rate, divide it into 72, whatever your answer is the number of years it takes for your money double. So this is not the time to be sucker-minded. This is the time to apply the rule of 72 to all of your finances like wealthy-minded people do. So we're at the conclusion of today's course. And the principles like you just learned will likely bring up a lot of questions like the ones you see on the screen here. Does this mean all bank accounts are bad? What are other safe options? Should you refinance at a lower rate? What can you do to make more doubles possible? All great questions and potentially a lot more. And really the best person to turn to for questions like these and others is a financial professional. Someone who is licensed in this space that can help answer clearly. And we can help discuss this with you if you don't have one, or if you need help choosing one, we would be honored to have that conversation. So our mission, as you can see, this stuff is so powerful. Our mission is to teach 20 million families how money works within the next decade. We're going to stamp out financial illiteracy in every community. That's our goal. We know it's a huge undertaking, and it's one that's going to require an army of thousands of how money works educators. So we are looking for people to help us teach these classes, and that's where you or somebody you know could come in to help us fulfill our mission. So we're at the end of today's element. I'd like you to think about which concept resonated with you the most. That's why we started on this mission of eradicating financial illiteracy. And this is how you can start to take control of your finances. We call it the money discovery. So part of attending this course is we can help you if you don't have a financial professional yet. This works like driving directions on your mobile phone. There's 2 points of reference. That's really all you need. You need to know where you are and where you want to go. And the same is true to chart the course for your financial roadmap. So the How Money Works discovery in the book can help you take care of that. And this is a picture of that. It's in the very back of the book. So our How Money Works experts are available to sit down with you now that you've attended one of our Elements classes. The question is, how do these concepts work for your financials and with your personal numbers? And how much faster will you be able to complete the 7 money milestones when you have an expert guiding you? Your discussion will be private, short, and focused exclusively on your financial goals. So if you're interested, our numbers can crunch your numbers, make recommendations, and give you access to the very best products and services available within the financial industry. Text me right after this class and let's start putting your money at work today. If you liked what you learned today and would like more, you can also follow How Money Works on Instagram at How Money Works Official for more practical tips and helpful resources. Or you can also follow me at Daniel Miller TFA. I share a lot of great content on some of the things we discussed today, as well as other things that you should consider. So lastly, thanks again for joining our part 2 class. We hope that you join us for part 3 as we continue to go through this educational series, and we will see you next time.